Welcome to RSSDI 2018 Ahmedabad. I am Dr. Shao Ingole and you are watching me live on TheRightDoctors.com, the RSSDI TV brought to you by Vocard Pharmaceuticals. I am honored to have with me the renowned endocrinologist from Srinagar, Dr. Abdul Hamid Zargar sir. Sir is the senior endocrinologist Srinagar, former director. Sir is the professor and head department of endocrinology. So welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, based on your recent talk in RSDI 2018, which was on the global epidemic of obesity and diabetes mellitus, where we are heading, so we would like to know your views and opinions on, as we all know that the global epidemic of non-communicable diseases is rising dramatically. So, how the obesity and diabetes mellitus is placed amongst these non-communicable diseases?
If we look at the current epidemic of obesity globally, it has been escalating for the last 3-4 decades. And we did not have so much of obesity in the Indian subcontinent. But in the last 2 decades, we have also witnessed a sizable increase in obesity, particularly in metropolitan cities, urban and semi-urban areas. We were part of a global study that looked at obesity and trends in the weight in the last half a century. We found out that if you look at what was happening in 1975 and what was the real world scenario in our own country in 2014. In 1975, if you look at the whole globe, India was at number 19 position in terms of obesity, in men as well as in women. But when you look at it today, in 2014, because the data I am talking about was relevant up to 2014 because that's when we started collating this data. From this 19th position in men, obesity had gone up to such an extent that we were placed at number 5 globally. And so long as our women are concerned, obesity in them was even worse. We were the most obese nation after China and United States. So that speaks volumes about what is happening to urban and semi-urban India. And this obesity is etiologically and from the cause of it related to the epidemic of diabetes that we have been witnessing globally, but more so in our own country. But sadly and unfortunately, this epidemic of obesity is not confined to these metropolitan cities alone. There is a huge chunk of obesity occurring in people who are not obese or so-called normal weight in our own country, where the cause of the disease and the mechanism of the disease we believe is different. But the fundamental premise is that whatever the underlying reasons for escalation, diabetes has increased manifold in India and in the subcontinent in a very big way. If you just look at it, in 1997, India was supposed to have a diabetic population of 19 million. And ISMA did a study in 2012 when these 19 million had reached to 62 million. In just these 6 years, it has already crossed 72 million. So this in itself tells you that how far the impact of this diabetes is on our own community. And it doesn't stop short at that alone. This is one of the most important contributors to the cardiac disease. And cardiac disease has doubled up in India from 2005 to 2015. And that speaks volumes about this avalanche of non-communicable disease and diabetes and obesity that we are witnessing in our own country.
So, sir, you have collected a wonderful data as far as the obesity is concerned, where you have shown that globally Indian males are placed in 5th position and Indian women are placed in 3rd position amongst all the countries. So, considering this particular rising burden of obesity and the diabetes mellitus, do you foresee that this trend will continue and there will be a huge burden of diabetes and obesity, or there will be some checkpoint?
I personally believe that this is unrelenting. One, because we aren't doing much about it. Like, we have been talking about it for the last 2-3 decades now. But in spite of whatever we have been talking, nothing seems to have changed on the ground, except that in some parts of the country, the treatment availability has become better. For a relatively small segment of population, better care is available. But the underlying reasons for this evolving epidemic have not changed. In another data that the same group did globally, we published some data that what is happening in the youngsters, young children, adolescents, and young adults. Data on many crore people from this earth, including India. This data got published in Lancet October 2017. You'll be amazed to know that obesity has increased tenfold in children and adolescents in the last 50 years. Now imagine when these children become adults, these adults become middle-aged. What will be the impact of this obesity on these non-communicable diseases? What is happening to their lipids? What is happening to their cholesterol? What is happening to their sugars? What is happening to their blood pressures? I see an impending medical emergency which we are not addressing. And I, even as a thinker and healthcare planner, wouldn't know where to put brakes on. But some serious thought needs to be given to it, so that some brakes are put on this epidemic. We seem to be becoming overall a nation whose in the urban areas abdomens are bloated, cholesterols are higher, lipids are higher, sugar seems to getting abnormal right from late 20s only. 1/3 of pregnant women seem to be having diabetes. So these are some things that deserve serious attention and comprehension. They cannot be casually handled.
So, sir, as you rightly highlighted that obesity and diabetes mellitus are the impending medical emergencies which are not addressed at all at this point of time. So, according to you, being a senior endocrinologist and in this field since many years, what are your recommendations and what are your thoughts, the role that is being played by government and the today's practitioners?
I think fundamentally two things need to happen. One, government has to set up a infrastructural, systemic approach to managing non-communicable disease, the way we have been doing programs of malaria eradication program, tuberculosis management program, immunization program. In a similar fashion, very intensely, central governments, state governments need to look at this current picture of non-communicable disease and create a mechanism of, first we need to see whatever could be prevented. That means awareness, right from the schools, colleges, young ladies, mothers, pregnant women, adults. Everybody needs to be educated that we have a problem that can be contained, that can be prevented. And if we aggressively sort of educate people right from schools and colleges, I'm sure that's going to make a difference. But this difference will not happen, one fine day telling a school kid that you need to do blah blah these things. These need to be done repetitively over a period of time. It's a sort of a reminder that what is the right lifestyle that needs to be told to all segments of population, and repetitively the benefits of it, and what will be the health hazards if we do not have those appropriate lifestyle changes. For this, just a talk, a television sermon one day is not going to suffice. It needs to happen every month, every fortnight, every 2 months in a very structured fashion. And government needs to look into that possibility. As healthcare providers, we need to educate people who ever come in contact with us. Now suppose somebody comes with the diabetes mellitus whose parents had diabetes or siblings have diabetes. It is not only one. We manage him, we treat him, fine, we give him the best care. But a mechanism should be developed at the professional level also, that some sort of an education be provided to the family members, how to change their lifestyle, how to change their food habits, and how to inculcate a habit of doing a blood sugar, getting a blood pressure checked once in a while, so that first diabetes does not occur. Second, if it occurs, it is diagnosed in time. And third, if it is diagnosed in time, it is treated appropriately by the right people.
So, sir, if you want to address today's practitioners and the diabetologists so that we can put a break on obesity and diabetes mellitus, what single message you would like to give?
One single message would be that one, I think first we need to change our own lifestyles. It's something like, somebody has a cigarette in his mouth and asks others not to smoke. We need to be ourselves to be role models. What we preach, we should be seen practicing in real-time life, because people do not listen to you, people see you actually, your actions. Second important thing is that, you see, this is a time, every time a person who is 30, 40 years comes for any sickness to a medical practitioner, the minimum he does checks his blood pressure. In a similar fashion, I believe the time has come that anyone coming to a doctor, if he's 20 years or older, for whatever sickness he comes, a blood sugar should be done. So that, whatever is the load of that abnormal glucose on the body, it could be detected at the earliest. And third and the most important thing is creating a mechanism where patients and patients' attendants could be simultaneously educated and informed once in a fortnight, once in a month, once in 3 months. That's going to make a huge difference.
So thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful interaction and throwing a light on the rising burden of obesity and the diabetes mellitus, and where healthcare professionals, be it a nurse, be it a attendant of the doctor or the doctor himself, and the government can play a key role so that we can put a break on diabetes and obesity. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.